everything is unknown. Even that job you have,
Mhm.
unfortunately, they can give you the next tomorrow. So there's
Mhm.
really no true knowns out there. So
Wow.
there is a female spiritual leader. Gosh, I can't remember her name. And it's a clip that goes around and I love it. It's one of my favorite. She talks about you're accountable to what God has put on your heart. God has
Mhm.
put something on your heart, it was put there for a reason. Then she explains, if he put on your heart to write that book, open that
Right.
restaurant, start that daycare, do these different things, and you don't do it, you're going to be accountable for that.
The time is now to boldly step forward, love with intensity, and embark on the journey to create the best version of yourself. Let's breach these barriers together.
Hello, family. Welcome back to the BreEvolve Podcast. I'm so happy that you came to spend time with me. If this is your first time, my name is Bree. I'm your host, and we are all about personal growth, faith, and becoming our best selves together because we are in this together. You are not alone. Today, I am beyond excited to introduce to you a powerhouse entrepreneur, leader, and visionary, Latrice Smith. Latrice is the driving force behind multiple successful ventures, each built with a strong foundation of passion, perseverance, and purpose. She leads Thomas Law and Consulting, helping entrepreneurs transform into effective CEOs through strategic planning and legal advice. She also co-owns Mechanical Piping Solutions with her husband, bringing excellence and reliability to the commercial plumbing industry. As if that wasn't enough, she is also the co-founder of Beem Light Sauna Atlanta Glenwood, where she prioritizes holistic wellness and community healing through innovative light therapy. But what makes Latrice truly inspiring is not only her business success, it's her unwavering commitment to growth, impact, and faith. Her journey is a testament to resilience, adaptability, and the power of staying connected to your why, even when the road gets tough. Today, we're diving deep into how she built her empire, the lessons she's learned along the way, and how we can apply those principles to our own lives. So go ahead and take out your pen and paper, your notes app on your phone, your laptop. You are going to want to take notes because this episode is packed with wisdom. Latrice blessed me so much, so I just know that this episode will also bless you. So without any further ado, let's get into this conversation with Latrice. Let's go. Latrice, thank you so much for being here with me. I truly appreciate you.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to interview you at SpeakerCon, but I know we were going to have to be rushing. So I'm so glad you agreed to come on here. So we don't have to rush it, within a 5 minute, 10-minute period. I know whatever we talk about will bless our audience. So let's just get right into it.
For sure.
Latrice, you are involved in so many impactful ventures. Can you share a bit about what drives your passion for helping others, whether through entrepreneurship, wellness, or community building?
So that's such an important question. So when I think about that impact, so you said it perfectly. It's definitely the idea of impacting others. So
Mhm.
I have been given this insight into business and then of course the things that I've gone to. So I want to take that, what I've learned and help other business owners or people thinking about starting their business really elevate their brand and where they're going. And another huge one is to kind of prevent some of the pitfalls, be proactive, have a plan. So we don't necessarily have to always go through the life of hard knocks. We can learn stuff and have a plan and be a little more proactive. So that's really the thing that drives me. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So my granddad was a pharmacist and my dad was a pharmacist as well. So I watched my father. He had the business, but he had to do both. He had to run the business and be the pharmacist, and that's tricky. So it's a lot of things about building business. I was able to learn and insight into how to do things without having to run all the pieces and do all the pieces and how planning can really elevate and help you propel to the next level. So I wanted to be able to share that insight and be impactful to other visionary founders that have ideas for things they want to do.
I love that. Right. We don't have to do it all ourselves. I had to learn that too. Like everything that I'm going through, somebody else done did it already. Girl, open your
That's
mouth and
right.
ask somebody.
Right. And then
Yeah.
you get so you ask someone and then build your plan around it. And you can take, we talk to people. I hear a lot of advice. I mean, I take the parts that's relevant and work for my plan and vision, and the rest of it, I take it. So that's kind of what I want to be able to give that insight to others and to really help them excel and scale and grow their businesses for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So, in Thomas Long Consulting, you help transform entrepreneurs into CEOs. What were some of the biggest mindset shifts that you see necessary for an entrepreneur to effectively step into a CEO role?
Oh my goodness. That again, another great question. It's so important. So it's funny, everybody's different. So when I'm consulting with clients, so at Thomas Law, we kind of our breadth is kind of twofold, threefold really. So we've got the consulting side, that's what we help with strategic planning and help building
Mhm.
their brand. And then it's legal services. So that's when we're really leaning into protecting the business and the founders and their assets and their IP and different things. And then we have commercial real estate. So I always, when I'm consulting on the consulting side with clients, that's always where I start. I start with their mission and their vision. And that kind of helps me know where they want to go, but it sets the tone to what's important for them. And then the next level is always that mindset piece. So I start
Mhm.
there and I lean into it. I really want to understand where they are. So that helps me peel back the layers because unfortunately everybody, because we've all been through stuff and had things in our life, so there's always that block there that's for someone. So if they're really leaning into the process, by the first or second session, I can usually tell what that is and what that's going to be. And so to answer your question, what's the biggest shift? I'm gonna be honest, everybody's a little bit different. It really depends on their experiences, what they've been to. But the consistent thing I can say is always something personal that we've brought from childhood or previous work experiences or previous interactions. And it doesn't usually have much to do with the business. It's always something personal that we're carrying over into things. And so that saying, which I love to hate, how you do one thing is how you do everything,
Yep.
and the same thing with that as well.
Mhm.
So it ends up it's not one thing because it's never really about something business related. It's always something very personal to their experience. So I work
Mhm.
really hard to find out because everybody has it, what that
Right.
is as early on as possible. Because if we don't work through it and figure it out earlier, it's going to keep showing up in different ways
Right.
and
Yeah.
different things. And so we really have to kind of lean into how do we deal with this or how do we handle this or how do we work through it. And I have referrals and people on my team that I kind of really help people to so that block doesn't become a hindrance in growing and scaling their business.
That's good. That's really good. Getting to the core of it. I don't know
Yes.
why I've never thought about because business, I know it's a mindset thing, but it's like, no, we need to figure out why you doing this to make
Yep.
sure it doesn't bleed into everything else. That's
And it's
good.
never it's the funny part is I don't think I've yet had a client where it was the same thing. It's always something different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it's very interesting. So I read your shout out Atlanta interview.
Mm-hmm.
Great interview. And in there, you mentioned that brands are more than just businesses. They're a commitment to improvement, community, and personal growth, with each venture reflecting a larger story of passion and perseverance. I
Mm-hmm.
love that perspective because it's easy to lose sight of our purpose, especially as we reach new levels or, we go up the ladder. It's like my constant prayer, like, God, please don't let me lose sight of why I started, what you put on my heart. So I love that. How do you stay connected to the why behind what you do, especially when challenges or even your growth may pull you in different directions?
That's so again, you just got great questions. Look, we're gonna be Oprah.
Hey, look, I'm asking for myself.
No, like no, really, really good. So, and again, it's an important message. You really have to be grounded and do the work. I think the personal work. We talk about business, and I lean into helping because my clients are usually the founders of the business, so they're the first line of defense for the business. They're the visionaries. They're the ideals people, and it's all about that personal growth and where you lean into and you can't lose sight of that. So being firm in who you are, so that's tackling those challenges. And so even with me, so doing the work and the things I knew was blocking me. So I'll
Mhm.
be candid and open. So speaking in a social forum was my biggest one. So things like this I could do all day. I could get on the stage. That didn't bother me, but it was something about social media that was a block for me personally. But I knew for me to, just like you said, be impactful, to people know who I am, and to me to really be able to do the work I was supposed to be doing, people had to know who I was and what I was about
Right.
and how I could help them. So I had to get over it. So I had to do the work. And, you know, when I was doing different things, I could kind of try to hide and sway and just put cute pictures of the babies. And but
Right.
with this, that's our world. I have to be out front. I have to let people know who I am. So I have to really do the work. So staying grounded in who I am and doing the work is how I have stayed in that idea of really knowing myself and leaning into that. And that it comes full circle in keeping in line with my vision, because I know who I am
Mhm.
and where I want to go. So it's it's always front and center for me for sure.
Yeah, that's funny you shared that. So at SpeakerCon, I remember I walked by you. This was before we had our formal introduction. I walked by you and you were on the backdrop and you were I know it was for social media, but you were just saying like, "Hey, I'm Latrice. I'm here," explaining what you were doing, and I was like, "Wow!" It's like all these people around, and yet she's making this video for social media, and I was like, "I wish I had the confidence to do that." And I was like, seeing, I said, and I wish I had the confidence, but in the same breath, seeing you do it, it was like you just do it. Like seeing you do it, I was very grateful to see that.
And
So,
that's another, so that's a perfect example as to why I had to get over my stuff so I can be impactful. So like you said,
yes.
that gave you the confidence to do the next
Hmm.
thing. The next person see it, it'll give them the confidence to do it too. But I had to do the work and get over my stuff so I could too. And that, what I was saying is, it helps you get the confidence to really lean into that. And but seeing other people, so you would have thought I would have done it. It was a natural, it wasn't a thing for me. But
Yes.
you just never know what people have going on.
Yes.
Like, still always kind of now getting to the point where I'm more comfortable with it and it's not a thing anymore. But it took a lot of work and time, but you wouldn't have never known that. You know, we
Not at
having this
all.
conversation, you wouldn't have never even thought, oh, she hates doing this or hated doing this at some point. So it's just like,
Yes.
this is the beauty of having these moments and telling these stories, that we, the strangest things. And it was strange because I like speaking, I like to talk, I like being on stage, but it was something about social media that was like, mm-mm.
Yeah, mine is kind of the opposite. Like I could talk socially all day, but like on the stage, like on so even on social media, I guess social media is different, but going live, I will not do it. I'm avoiding it so much, and I just don't know why. But pre-recorded, I can edit it out. If I do something, say something I don't like, 'cause nobody needs to even know I said that or look that way. But going live, like it looked like you were going live. I don't know if it was pre-recorded or not, but for social media, I said, okay, just do it, girl. Just do it. You got
Exactly.
it.
So we would have never thought I had to do all this, do all that to be able to do
No.
that. Because honey, it was a time I'd have been like, you're gonna have to get something else. So
Yeah.
again, the reason why opportunities like this and us sharing space and sharing information is so important.
Yeah, I love that. So, what would you say to someone struggling to start their own business because of the fear of unknown or the risk involved?
I would say everything is unknown. Even that job you have,
Mhm.
unfortunately, they can give you the next tomorrow. So there's
Mhm.
really no true knowns out there. So
Wow.
there is a female spiritual leader. Gosh, I can't remember her name. And it's a clip that goes around and I love it. It's one of my favorite. And she goes, gosh, I wish I could remember her name. She talks about, you're accountable to what God has put on your heart. If God has
Mhm.
put something on your heart, it was put there for a reason. So she kind of goes into it and she explains, if he put on your heart to write that book, open that
Right.
restaurant, start that daycare, do these different things, and you don't do it, you're going to be accountable for that. So
Mm.
that's, I think you have to do the work. Again, everything is about the person. So do the work through why it's triggering for you. Understand there are no certainties. But the biggest thing from a strategic perspective is really take the time and build that plan, to work with somebody like myself, a consultant that can really help you take your vision to actionable steps. So that helps reduce the opportunities for risk, help reduce, because you're gonna have some pitfalls. That's part of the
Mhm.
process. But taking that time to really plan and build a strategic plan around that helps limit those and minimize those steps, or makes them a little bit less of a blow instead of a huge blow. And a lot of stuff you can anticipate, if you and put things in place for that. So the more you plan and think things through, but not plan, there's a fine line to the point where it handicaps you too when you don't do anything.
Mm,
So
yeah,
plan in a way that's productive toward action steps.
that was so profound. I'm still talking about the very first thing you said. Nothing is known. Everything's unknown.
Yep.
That's very
Even that
profound.
job.
Yes, that wow. I will be clipping that to play over for myself.
Right. And it's the truth. Though. Think about
Wow.
it. Like, we don't know if we get in the car, we're gonna have a flat
Yes.
tire. We
Yes.
don't know if what the next thing is gonna be, but we some things give us a fake sense of security that
Yes.
it's just not really real either.
Yes. Yes. That was really good. So, starting out as an entrepreneur, what was one unexpected skill or lesson you had to learn quickly, and how has it shaped your success across your ventures?
So the planning part. So now
Mm.
planning is a big part of my business and my model and how I help others, but it can be a crutch too. So I'm a planner. I have things set out and I want things to go, but I learned really quickly that they don't. You don't care how well you plan. So
Uh-huh.
you have to have a plan in a way, because I still believe in having that plan and the importance of it, and have a strategic insight of where you're going to, but you have to be flexible and move and be ready to pivot when you need to, and be looking and far enough ahead to see things coming and have stuff in place where you're not going to totally blow your strategic plan up, but you might start a business thinking. I give you a good example for mine. When I started Thomas Law Consulting, I really thought I would have a lot of new businesses in formation. Where I found out, I ended up with a ton of clients with existing businesses that
Mm.
wanted to grow and scale and perfect things. And that's, I anticipated they would have, I had stuff in place for both. But what I ended up finding was a lot more businesses that were already in business. So I had to be able to pivot a little bit and perfect my services that I offer to cater to them a little bit more, because those were the bulk of my, we do work with new businesses. I was tending to see more of those businesses that were already established, that were ready to go to the next level. So sometimes things aren't quite what you expect, but you have to kind of
Mhm.
be prepared and nimble and paying attention to your numbers, to your client feedback, so you can fine tune those things pretty quickly. That was definitely one of my, I had a plan. It was going to go like this, and this is what we're going to do, and not so much.
Yeah. Pastor Darius Daniels, he had, in one of his sermons recently, he was saying, have your plan, but write it in pencil. Like, don't be
Absolutely.
so married to it that you don't move if it changes. But yeah,
Absolutely.
that's good. Well, that's also interesting. You said you had more existing businesses. It kind of made sense though, because speaking from experience, like when you start a business, you have so much within you. Like, I'm gonna just jump out there and do this. And then you get into the business and it's like, hold up, it's not going the way I thought. So that's
Yes.
when you need to reach out to someone like, okay,
And that's
what's going
exactly
on
what
here?
happened. Like, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what happens. So people will be doing things in their business, and or typically people get to a certain point, and so they'll probably want to grow and scale, and then they
Right.
know, I've done everything I can do. I don't know how to get to the next thing. I have a ton
Right,
of
right.
those. Yes.
So as an entrepreneur, it can sometimes be difficult to share their responsibilities with others. You work closely with your husband, particularly in mechanical piping solutions. What are some of the most valuable lessons you learned from working with a partner, and how has collaboration strengthened your business?
Again, man, I'm telling you, you're gonna have Oprah run for her money. That is such a good question. Okay. And I don't talk about this much, but I would love to talk about it more. Because I
Okay.
think having my husband as my partner is one of the biggest strengths that we both have for our business. So, um, when I was flipping houses, renovating and redeveloping houses, and I needed a plumber. That's how I met my husband. And so, no, like, no joke, I needed a plumber, and so we ended up meeting, and it clicked, and we've been stuck together like glue ever since. And so when I
Wait, so that's how y'all met?
Yeah, we really did.
Oh, that is beautiful. I thought you were married and then you went into business together.
No, he already had the plumbing business, and I was doing real estate full time at the time. And so I was flipping and redeveloping properties. So when we got together, we kind of expanded on everything. But the reason I brought that up is because it specifically lends itself to your question. That's how we were able to grow and scale. Having each other's strengths and insight has been invaluable for us growing and scaling. And so his business, he was doing really well, but I was able to bring in this idea, this structure and these ideas on the commercial side that really accelerated the business, where we were able to double revenue pretty much every year since I've been involved. But he was already doing well, so he had a again, one of the things that attracted to me, because I was working with all these contractors and they were all free, and he had his stuff all together. He had his invoices and his payment stuff,
I
but
know that's
everybody else would send me a cash app, send me a Zelle, but he had all his stuff together. I was so impressed. I was like, oh. And so, but then, so he had a great business foundation and acumen on his own. But then I was able to bring in some other insights on how we can grow and scale and really take what you've done and go to the next level. So that's literally what we did. And so
wow.
I had this idea for the law firm. So I didn't have the law firm at the time. And I had the idea. And so I was doing real estate, and it was like, okay, it was time for the pivot that we talked about.
Mhm.
So I was, what's next? He was like, well, go ahead and do it. And so his ideas and his insight on business and how to grow and what it takes I mean, we bounce each other stuff off each other all day, every day. That's what we do.
Wow. That's
So
so
having
beautiful.
that, but I think the most important thing is the same foundation that I think works in any relationship, regardless if you're doing business together or not. You have to truly, at your foundation, at your core, be similar. Like
Mhm.
it's hard for people if you don't have the same ideas on how you spend money, how you raise a family. If we pay for private school, if you don't, if you go to church on Sunday, if you don't, like you at your core, those things that matter most to most people, which is going to be things like money, raising kids, family
Mhm.
relationships, you really have those core foundational things that are important outside of the relationship. You kind of have to fit. Like you kind of would have to be friends with that person regardless of the relationship.
Right.
Like I think that's the biggest key to having a successful marriage is that fit. I think it has to fit either way, relationship or no relationship, because trying to say if you're frugal and the other person's not, that's hard to reconcile. Those kind
Yeah.
of things, like you really have to just at your core fundamentally be similar and have similar ideas about stuff. And so I think that's easy to translate over into business, because then if you're living your life this way, then you want to run your business similar ways. So that was able, we just at our core are very similar and have similar value sets and stuff like that.
That's so beautiful. I thought, yeah. Look at me thinking I knew the story.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I love that. I was thinking, me and my husband always flirt with the idea of going into business together. So I thought I would ask you that to see,
Mhm.
how, get a little bit of insight. But yes, thank you for that.
Yes, for sure.
So I also read in your interview, resilience seems to be key to your journey. How do you cultivate resilience personally, and how can our audience start building resilience in their own lives?
I'm like this, but I think they're core things that are so important. If you get them right, it's easy to do the other things. So,
Mm,
again, it's that deep dive into yourself. You really have to get in line with yourself and who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing them, and the things that people that you need to kind of tweak and perfect, work on those and lean into those, but really take the time. But it's just a core tenet in me. My resilience is my mom. I was raised by somebody that didn't let up and was her, my grandmothers too. They were just little warrior women, like a lot of black women are, but
mhm.
they were. She didn't take no for answers. She didn't stop, and so that's ingrained in us and all the women. You keep going. You set your mind on something, you get it done. Like it's nothing else to talk about.
Yes, I
So
love
that's just instilled in me. I don't think I know any other way.
uh-huh.
And then when I have those little moments of whatever, I lean on myself and what I want to do and those goals and that why that I have set for sure.
Yeah, I love that. For someone interested in holistic well-being, like what Beam Light Sauna offers, how can they start to embrace a more well-rounded approach to health without feeling overwhelmed? So maybe like a tip.
Yes, I think the biggest thing is first is to start small. So if
Yeah.
that's something you're introducing into your life and wellness, I don't care if it's meditating or going to the sauna like we have at Beam, or if it's exercising, do something that's not going to be overwhelming to your system and to your personal life and to your journey so you can keep going. So take the small steps, but make the small steps consistent. So if you say, okay, every Saturday I'm going to get up and go to the sauna, make that consistent part of your day. So once you've done it, you've been consistent, you've done it 4 weeks in a row. Okay, now I'm gonna add a Monday or one weekday. So start off with something realistic, a realistic goal,
Mhm.
and do it consistently. Then add on to it. And then if you can consistently make those small changes and improvements, then you'll be able to see. But the consistency, not doing too much at first, and then being consistent with what you do is the key. And that consistency piece is another big one that is you just have to get up and go.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, you have to keep doing it.
that's good. I heard this tip from Mel Robbins. And the simple tip for getting up out the bed, because we usually hit the snooze button. 3, 2, 1, get up.
Yep.
Just do
Yep.
it.
Five
It's no
second
magic
rule.
trick.
It's called the 5 second rule. That it's a good book too.
Who's who's
That's
that
Mel
by?
Robinson. That's her book. That's what it's that's the
Oh,
name of the principle. It's the 5 second rule.
okay, okay. I didn't know it was a whole book on there. I listened to
Yes.
she put probably like 5 or 6 tips for a morning routine within the podcast.
Yep.
But
That's
yeah.
but that's she's got a whole book on it. It's really good.
Yeah.
So that yep, that's what it's called.
Did you get her new book?
I
The
did.
Lesson Theory?
And I'm almost finished with it. It's really good.
Mm. Oh, good.
Have
Yes, I
you
said
read
I
it?
need to add that. Nope. I
You
said I
should.
need to get it.
It's so I don't care where you are. I think that book is something any and everybody can use because I don't care how wonderful you are, how great you are. On some level, everybody gets caught up in their head at some point,
Yeah.
and it is the best book with a tangible thing you can do to just keep it moving, let it go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get that. I listened to her podcast on this. So I was like, I do want to dive deep more into it.
Yes,
I
definitely
will
recommend.
add it to my list for sure. Looking back on your journey, what advice would you give to your younger self starting out?
That's always a tricky one for me because I'm not a big believer in regrets, doing things
Mm,
wrong or over. I think all the steps in the journey are a necessary part
mm,
to getting where you are. I think if I did have to give myself some advice, it'd be have a little more fun. I was always working and going to the next thing and aiming for the next thing and
yeah.
have a little more fun.
Yeah, I love
Mhm.
that. Yeah. There's one last message or takeaway you hope our listeners gain from your story. What would it be?
What would be that message? To really lean into yourself and what's important for you to,
Mm,
if that's about your work goals or career goals and what you want to achieve, think about those actionable steps you can take to get
mm,
there. If it's starting a business, if it's getting that promotion, if it's finding a new job, if it's spending more time with your family, if it's
mm,
exercising, take the key, create you a mini strategic plan,
mm,
write that down, and really lean into what are some steps I can take to, like we talked about, first start the process and then be consistent with it. So just get started.
right.
Write a plan, make the actual steps, and that's it.
Yeah. Get out your head. Yeah.
Yes.
That's just do it. Yeah, I love
Let's
that.
do it.
Because we kind of overcomplicate things sometimes. We just be sitting looking at the goal. But how do we get there? Just start.
Just start.
So
Take
yeah,
you some
that's
steps
good.
and then be open to it. Tweak it as you move along, but you have to start. That's
Yeah.
you have to start.
That's a word for me. Thank you. So finally, what's next for you? Anything coming up that you want to share with our audience?
The next thing is we are wanting to find ways to really reach and connect with more of you and let you and be impactful in your lives wherever that may be. So we are working toward getting our next tier of services, which are going to be webinars. We want to be able to give you the information needed for you to start, grow, and scale those businesses, or any ideas you have. So we're going to do that and introduce that through webinars and have trainings and informational sessions, not just for me, but other great providers that have insight that can help you really master and get to where you need to the next level. So follow me on Instagram and TikTok and all the great social platforms, and be on the lookout for when those are going to be coming out. So I'm at Latrice Smith, Esquire, ESQ, and be on the lookout for that and get ready to take those opportunities to learn, grow, and scale, personally and with your business.
Yes, I will definitely be attending those. So I'll be on the lookout for that myself.
Awesome.
And thank you for providing that, saying yes to what was on your heart, because I know you helping so many people. It's
Awesome. Well, thank you for the
yeah.
opportunity and for creating this platform to share information from a different perspective. So thank you for what you're doing also.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.